the Glock. Super iconic. There should probably be like 5 or 6 of these in every single household in the world because they are so versatile. There's a whole bunch of accessories out there that allow you to set them up the way that you want them, including some pretty crazy stuff. Welcome in the Recover 2020 from Recover Tactical, and that's what we're talking about today on the VSO Gun Channel. Recover Tactical is an Israeli-based accessory company that does everything from holsters to entire chassis, like their picks, for instance. More on that in an upcoming video. The 2020 is a drop-in kit that adds a stabilizer to your handgun for more accurate shooting. It is also available in a stock variant for those of you who would like to go the NFA route. Obviously, this one is for a Glock, but there are other models available with compatibility for M&Ps and 1911s. They even make one for those of you who like to roll your own Glocks, so to speak. Obviously, adding any apparatus to your pistol is going to increase the weight, but in this instance, the choice to use a glass-reinforced polymer keeps the weight down to just over 10 ounces, which completely blows away any other PDW on the market, regardless of size. The 2020 is a simple clamshell design with a single bolt through the existing accessory rail that also interacts with the trigger guard for a solid lockup. The 2020's integral accessory rail moves the existing point slightly lower into a more advantageous position, creating a new point of contact once an accessory has been installed. There are also optional side rails if the bottom rail is occupied. While not required, to aid in charging of the weapon, Recover has created this bracket that extends up into the workspace and does so over top of the sight. In this example, I have a set of excess suppressor sights, and there is plenty of room to get this done. The rear extension is foldable and constructed for versatility for those that need it. There is an arm strap. There is a textured wing for those of you who prefer a cheek weld. I find the best thing to do is to grind it into my forearm. It even has multicultural considerations. Now, I suppose a pertinent question would be, does the Recover 2020 actually help improve your ability to hit the target? And I would say theoretically it should, because, you know, it's got an increased surface area of contact and more points of contact. So yeah, theoretically it should, but let's go ahead and put it into practice. What I have here is a Glock 19, very similar to the one that is in the chassis. Same sight set up from XS, only these ones are standard height, those ones are suppressor height sights. We're going to be shooting standard 115 grain ball from Fiocchi, and we're going to be shooting at that 25-yard target right there. Actually, it's more like 30, but close enough, right? 10 rounds. We're going to look at the spread on this, and then we're going to shoot the Recover. Now, this is not my best work, but there are all 10 rounds on there, and they are in the outer box, so to speak. I'm going to tape this up and we'll see if we get any improvement. I went ahead and removed the suppressor for this test because suppressors have a habit of shrinking group sizes, and I don't want to give an unfair advantage. Yeah. Big improvement. Night and day. Not that the original group was terrible. I'm just saying that, yeah, obviously the theory proves to be accurate. But what does that mean in terms of practical accuracy? Well, I've gone ahead and put the can back on here. And down there we have a full-size target, a quote-unquote man-sized target, if you will, out there at about 115 yards. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. You know, I always strive to be fair, and unfortunately, it looks to me like we've got some end cap strikes there. Yeah, we're gonna have to redo that test, guys and gals. So, yeah, totally couldn't get the can off. First world problems, right? America problems. So we're just gonna go for it. We're gonna shoot in the K configuration. Hopefully, it being a shorter can will help avoid those end cap strikes. I did take an opportunity to look down inside of it. It doesn't look like there's any baffle strikes, just looks like it was kissing the end of the end cap. And shortening the can should fix that. Now I was shooting a little bit faster than comfortable there for the point of saying that these are not like trying super hard. Shits and giggles. Doesn't work. Thing needs cleaned. Which brings me up to critiques. Unfortunately, without having a slide cut, there's no way to put optics on this thing. Oh, well, I stand corrected. I guess we have to go back out to the range and shoot it now. Well, that was fun. And this optic is just the right height if you're using the standard setup here. But there is also another attachment that can clamp on to the arm here that gives you a little bit of a raised cheek weld if you're using something that stands a little bit taller than this Gideon mediator here. Anyway, let's talk about, since we're here, some of the other accessories. This is one of the ones that they sent me that I did not particularly care for. And I think it's just simply, I'm too broad in the shoulder. What happens is when I use this thing, I get too crushed up and it's uncomfortable for me to hold the gun that way. But what this is an angled foregrip that has a magazine retainer in it. Now this is unidirectional. It is a press fit, but you cannot put it in the other way. Now, what would be interesting is if they made this so that it wasn't unidirectional, because if we could flip this thing around the opposite direction, it would be considerably more comfortable. That's the only real gripe that I have about this particular thing, and I put it on there and I didn't really care for it. I'll have a shot in there for you guys so that you could see it, and it doesn't need any screws or anything to go on. The slider that clips into the rail is just with that button right there instead of some hardware that you have to roll in. There's that thing. I just wanted to put that out there because I know that it will be pictured in lots of other places with that in there. But really, this thing was a whole lot of fun. Every person that I put it in the hands of said that it was an absolute blast to shoot like this. It makes hitting especially those ranged targets, like super easy. So if you never hit a target at like 100, 150 yards with a handgun before, this is your chance. Which brings me up to really my only critique of the 2020, and that is actually a retail consideration. And when I can distill something with a product, an area of continuous improvement down to a retail change, that's a pretty good day. Almost always there's something like, yeah, you need to make that out of steel instead of aluminum or something like that. In this instance, what I would have to say is if you go to Recover's website, it is confusing as heck. Like, I cannot figure out, my phone, not yours, I cannot figure out half the time what it is that I'm looking at. And I'm sure that other people will echo this consideration as well. In fact, when I was trying to figure out, when I started this project, what it is that I had and what specs I should be looking at online, I had to pull up the web page and then come back and read the side of the device to figure out what it was. This thing over here that we talked about earlier, this is just a series of letters and numbers. It's just a pile of SKUs. If they could come up with some way to reorganize the website so you can figure out what it is that you're actually buying, that would be a massive improvement. I think that that would probably help their business out a little bit. But anyway, that's really all I have to say when it comes to the Recover 2020. Guys, gals, solid pickup. And as a bonus, it isn't from Flux.